Hello, this is Matthew Serziga, and this is lab number 2 for the overhead squat. So the first thing I notice in the anterior view of my overhead squat, as I come down through the descending phase of the squat, you can see my nose peek out to the left side of my body, along with, you can kind of see my arms at the top here, like shift over to the left as I'm trying to balance out. This could be seen as a weight shift over to the left side of my body. Some reasons as to why that may be, you could say that my bicep femoris is overactive in this position, or you could say that my gluteus medius is underactive here. One more thing I'd like to point out in this anterior view of my squat is when I come down, I actually have adjusted since the last squat, what I showed you right before this. You can see my foot will actually turn out. So as I come down in the descending phase of the squat, I literally pick my foot up to stabilize myself on the way down in the bottom of the squat here. A reasoning as for why this could be happening is I could have my lateral gastroc or my soleus being overactive, or something that I actually think it may be is my medial hamstring is underactive here, which I would not be surprised because I do not stretch my hamstrings enough. Here we see me in the left lateral view of my overhead squat, and my back stays relatively straight at the start, but when I start to come down, you can actually see right about here, I have a little bit of a low back arch, and then once I finish the squat, the top half of my body actually straightens out. So I'm not keeping my spine straight and neutral the whole way down. I'm curving a little bit on the way down. Some reasons as to why on the descending phase my lower back arches a little bit could be hip flexor issue, or hip flexor being overactive, or my latissimus dorsi could be overactive, or an underactive muscle could be, again, the hamstrings, which I do think that if I did some more hamstring work, I could really clean up my squat a little bit. Just before I move on to the next issue with my squat, I just wanted to quickly do a rough angle here. You can kind of see I messed up a little bit here, but you can see that it's not a perfect 180. You can see it's just slightly bit of a curvature. Again, here at the bottom, you can see my feet are a little bit out. In class, we had mentioned that you should only really be able to see one, maybe two toes on the outside of a person during a squat, but here you can just about see my entire foot here. But then one more thing here in the posterior view of my overhead squat, I wanted to point out how you can't see my fingertips in this view for whatever reason. It got cut off, but you can see my elbow line, that my right arm is slightly more elevated and it has a little more height. In the full video, you can see my fingertips are actually a little bit higher than my left hand. This would be a shoulder elevation on my right arm in just a standing position. For the overactive, you could say that my upper trapezius could be overactive, or this could be a case of an underactive rotator cuff here. Or even could just be my mid-lower back / trapezius could be an issue here as an underactive muscle. The last thing I wanted to point out here in my posterior view of my overhead squat is as I come down, you can see my knees will start to come out just ever so slightly. If you look at this circle, oh, that was a little fast, sorry. If you look at this circle, as I come down, it's really easy to see my knee go to the edge of the circle on that first one. If we just go back here. So my knee is pretty much straight, and then as I come down, it like kisses the edge of this circle here, and it really comes out. An issue here could be, again, we could see an overactive bicep femoris, or gluteus minimus/medius. Or we can see an underactive gluteus maximus or medial hamstring. And one thing that I almost forgot here is that you'll see in my right lateral view of my overhead squat, again we're seeing that low back arch, that curvature on the descending phase, but I'm also when I'm bending forward, I'm really bringing a forward lean here. I'm excessively forward leaning at the bottom of the descending phase. And for overactive muscles, there could be a lot going on here. For this excessive hip flexion. But I would think it'd have to do something with my hip flexor, or it could also be like the gastroc or the soleus, but I'm thinking hip flexor here. And then for my underactive muscles, could be the erector spinae, or even the gluteus maximus. That concludes my overhead squat, and I leave you with a little picture of me smiling through my mask.